The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Fream, and thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. E3 is fast approaching, and we don our clairvoyant headgear to throw out some wild predictions for the upcoming festivities, surprise delistings, and some shaky waters for some big developers. We also talk about the different gamer subtypes that exist for a fantastic two-man show. You can find show notes for this show as well as previous shows on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 74. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter at Z2Z, over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement Beating a Dead Potato in the game Defense Grid: The Awakening DLC. This achievement was nominated by Foo Foo Cuddly Poof in honor of Saucy Slingo's ongoing mission to drive Prue, and others, but mostly Prue, completely insane with dank potato memes. The achievement comes from the You Monster DLC and asks you to earn gold medals on at least 35 missions in that campaign. Video guides can be found on TA and elsewhere to give you good tips on how to set up your tower defenses. Special thanks to developer and publisher Hidden Path Entertainment. And if you, our fantastic listeners, have a suggestion for an achievement sponsor, let us know. Twitter and email are best, but you can come chat with us over at our community in Discord. That is discord.me/Z2Z. So, that's it. Let's get this show started and introduce, well, it's just Tarragon. So here we go. All right, guys, it's another show, another Z2Z podcast, and it's just Tarragon and I. How are you doing, Tarragon?
I'm very good. How are you?
Do you think we can actually get something done tonight if it's just the two of us? You know,
just the two of us.
Quick back and forth. We don't get bogged down in all sorts of...
Well, we do have a lot to get through, so... Yeah.
I know, right?
We better get going.
It's getting that season, right? E3 around the corner. And with that, we've now launched our E3 Bingo and Predictions card over at our Discord or our forums, forum.z2z.com. So anyone out there, you can fill out a bingo card, and essentially it focuses on the Microsoft press conference. Okay, that's the key. It has to be on stage at Microsoft, right? I know there's tons of announcements all over the place. On stage at Microsoft, and we're looking for, games specifically. I have a rules breakdown on all the things, because we know Scorpio's going to be there. That's free space. Free space is we actually get a name for the Xbox. Not that you have to pick it. I mean, that'd be cool, but you don't have to pick it. Just they announce a name. We know that's coming. But
yeah, I've got an idea for a name.
I'm ready. Oh yeah, we'll hear that. We'll hear that a little bit later. The key is I want specific things, like, and if they're games, like. Those are easy, all right. I could just as soon say Cuphead was a free space. I'm pretty sure everybody's submission is going to have Cuphead in it because we know it's coming out. It's probably going to be a play it in a month kind of thing. But anyway, take a look at the forum. So that's one part of it, the actual bingo card, the 24 individual submissions that you think will be on stage at Microsoft. The other expands it to E3 as a whole. And so this is a little more loosey-goosey, and we'll just kind of have some fun with it. But I'm curious what you, the community, think are some crazy predictions that you've got for everybody else. Nintendo, Sony. I'm going to say right now, my Nintendo and Sony ones are a little snarky. So I like Xbox. I don't claim to be a fanboy or anything, but I'm a little cynical. It happens. Ubisoft, Activision, all sorts. I have a list of developers that we are curious about what maybe you guys have some takes on. Now, here's the kicker. I put a deadline of the end of May 31st. So by June 1st, I'm not accepting any more submissions. And I know I would tell this because Crandy is just so convinced that the floodgates open on those leaky pipes, and you're going to know everything about E3 by the 1st of June as we get close. If the last 2 years are any indication, you are going to have a ton of information. And I'm sure I'm going to get a flood of entries on May 31st because everyone's going to wait till the very last second to get every single announcement squeezed out, which is fine. I'm going to do the same thing.
Can we get Lie Engine as a free pass on the bingo card as well?
Yeah. I'm not sure Microsoft is going to use the phrase Lie Engine, but they might. What? They might. You know, because I was looking at it too. I'm like, do I just take the slam dunks? And like, I'm almost thinking we're going to need Blackout. Is how we're going to determine a winner, is whoever gets everything. Because I'm going to get crap like, I bet they say 6 teraflops. I bet they say, you know, and it's like, do I accept crap like that? Because that's such a layup in the parlance of easy sports talk. You know, like, come on, have some guts. Say something crazy. Say something fun. Those are the kind of predictions that we like to have, and we'll have some down the road on this show. Yeah. Are you excited for E3, Tarragon?
Yeah, I am actually. Particularly, I mean, it's going to be an interesting year just to see what Microsoft are actually doing. They've been building up to this one a lot, and they've been criticized quite a lot in the last few months for their software lineup. So this is kind of an important E3 for them. They need to announce games. They need to announce what they're doing. And the Scorpio needs some more meaty information on the Scorpio, what it's going to be called, when it's coming out, what price point, that sort of stuff. So yes, that's going to be a really interesting E3 for Microsoft fans or Xbox fans. And yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see how Sony responds as well to a lot of this, because they don't really have any hardware on the go, so they've got nothing to kind of compete with there. So it'll just be about their games. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it comes out. I
totally agree. You know, and with the cryptic messaging that I think that Phil Spencer's been talking with, you know, he's very open with his communication, but he's very calculated, and the words he's using they're really laying this trail of breadcrumbs that are so intriguing. Like, I am following them all the way to Grandma's candy house because it's so enticing, the words he's using.
I'm not sure that's a great analogy to use.
Well, that's the problem.
You know what
right?
happened at their house, right?
Exactly. Like, I'm nervous because of how excited I'm getting, and you know that's kind of that. It could be really great, and he could just blow my mind with all sorts of cool announcements and things I'm really excited about. And they could also really drop the ball and just rehash the same crap that we've seen over and over and over. You know, I'm fairly optimistic, so you know I don't think that's going to be the case. But I'm straddling that line of high excitement and nervous tension because this.
Yeah,
I mean, like you said, this
Microsoft really need to get it right, because I think even the most hardened Xbox fans at the moment are feeling the heat, and they're feeling a bit like, well, what's going on with the brand? What's going on with the company? I've heard this from people who are huge fans of it, and even I myself, I'm sort of thinking, well, yeah, what's going on? They've kind of cancelled a couple of studios, they've cancelled a couple of games, the big ones, and there's not much sort of on the horizon except for their big main franchises, and it's like,
I mean, because
it makes you feel nervous. And
I could always hang my hat
console,
on the fact that Sony was announcing games that were so far in the future that they don't even have anything coming out. Xbox has got all these games coming out right now. Okay, well, now I can't say that because every game that Microsoft has talked about is effectively out, right? There were only a few holdovers from last year, which was intentional, right? There's only a few holdovers, so we don't have the long view of what Microsoft's plan is. Yet Sony now, that timeline for those crazy, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Days Gone, the Death Stranding, like, all these now are shortening, and it's like, okay, well, now we're in a reasonable time frame for making announcements. These things should be out in 2018, which, okay, I mean, it's still far out there, but it's a reasonable time to make announcements like that. And now
Sony been absolutely knocking it out of the park with their exclusives and just the quality games that they've been throwing out in the last few months in particular, which is why there's a lot of criticism leveled at Xbox for that. So I think there's there is a lot of pressure on Microsoft right now to get E3 right, and yeah, I'm hoping to be surprised with what they show.
Totally agree.
If they don't surprise us, then there might be trouble. So
yep. The other thing too is Nintendo as a wild card. New system. They got a lot of new announcements here. One thing I don't think Nintendo's going to announce, and I just have to add this because this is just terrifying. Yes and no. So the Mexican government has actually stopped a shipment of old Nintendo, their Famicom cartridges, bootleg cartridges. We've got Jurassic Park, RoboCop 2. These bootleg Famicom cartridges they're smuggling things inside of this. And so there's a video here. You can look in the show notes, click on this link and see the police cam video of what they open. They're smuggling spiders. And it's not...
I don't get this at all.
I don't either. I'm not entirely sure why these spiders are trying to get them into the country, but
I don't know. Is it like some weird medicines thing where they need to get these particular spiders and milk?
Did you watch the video?
Yeah, it's like there's these little tubes and there's a spider inside alive, and you're going, what?
What are you doing with that? Exactly. It's big old nope. I'm not. No. Nope. Hey, let's. Why don't we move into our win of the week? Get our top achievement, our top thing out of the way. Tarragon, what was your week like?
Well, people who have been listening to it for a while know that I play a lot of Elite Dangerous, and I have been gradually working through the multiplayer with a group of friends in that game, and I finally hit CQC rank 50.
Nice.
Which is the second last achievement I need for multiplayer. But that's been a while coming. That actually unlocks it gives you a permit for a system in the game as well, which is pretty nice, which has basically got every single ship and every single module. It really makes things nice and easy and lots of discounts and that sort of stuff. So that was really nice to hit. Plus, it's worth a good nearly 600 TA, so that was a good bonus too.
That's quite the doozy. When you say a permit, like that, it gives you access to travel to that star system or that space station or whatever?
To that star system, and at that star system there is a station which happens to have all the ships, all the modules, and some discounts on various ships and things like that. So it's kind of like you get access to the CQC Holdings special station that way. So
gotcha.
That was nice.
Cool. Mine this week, so I had mentioned on last show that one of my random to-do list items was to play Halo 4, some Halo 4 multiplayer. And so I got into a party with a few of the listeners, which was great, and of course had to immediately install a giant chunk of content, so that sucked. But, we were hanging out, and when it finally was done, I was able to play games with... Now, and here's the problem, right? We ended up playing then late at night, okay? So all of the scrubs went to bed because they have school the next day, and we're stuck with the Johnny Tryhards. And I've never played Halo 4. I'm not terribly well versed in it. I don't care for the clicking the right stick to zoom, and I prefer my left trigger zoom. But anyway, we were going for quick games.
Pretty sure you could change that.
I know I can. Anyway, so we ended up playing SWAT, and so it was me, Prue, and Saucy, and we were doing what we could in the game and stuff. And this is my win. And now I didn't get my achievement, but what I did learn is I'm way better at this game than Prue, and so that's super fun. I was kicking butt. And now I'm not Johnny Tryhard level, the 130s, the guys who've spent so much time there doing it, but it was brilliant to hear how frustrated he was getting. He was swearing a ton, real angry, and
saying things that would make Prumate blush.
Yes, well, in fact, I think Prumate was near, and I think Prumate was worried we're going to get broken controller action. It was heated.
Wow.
And and that's kind of.
I'm finding that hard to imagine. Prue's just such a docile person,
right? Right. And so to get him fired up like that was great. It was great. That was worth the price of admission. And I still need some work on that achievement. So I think we've opened up an LFG Halo in our Discord chat. Yep. So I know there's a lot of people out there interested in the Master Chief Collection. But I will be posting in there for when, I need another evening of Halo 4 fun. And we've been playing legit, but man, we get enough people, we could just try to lock down a lobby and boost the crap out of it. But even playing legit's fun. You deal with the Johnny Tryhards, but you got, play some SWAT. I love that type of precision pistol action. Like, that's super fun. Did you ever get into Halo 4? I know you tend to care for, you like those games well enough, but... Yeah,
I've got the completions on everything up to Reach.
Okay.
So, yes, I've played a significant amount of it. I didn't play a lot of Halo 4. I think I was sort of kind of done with multiplayer stuff by then. So, no, I didn't play a lot of the Halo 4 multiplayer. I've done a lot of campaign stuff. But
sure.
Yeah.
Great.
But SWAT was always fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to actually getting into the campaign. I'm kind of hoping at some point a random to-do list pops up and says, do the campaign. Like, that's what I'm hanging all of my gaming decisions on right now. And I'm going to have all these just, hanging Charlies sitting out there that I need to clean up.
I'll just make a note on that.
Yeah, could you rig it?
Make the random list pick randomly from Halo 4 randomly.
Yeah.
Yep. Got it.
I was looking at my like Dark Arcana, right? I've got like 3 achievements left in that game. It's like, 3 achievements out of my 4,200 open achievements. Yeah, it might show up. It might show up and make me finish that game. Who knows?
Good chance.
All right, hey, let's get into some news here. We'll get some of these quick hitters out of the way. Maybe we'll start with some bad news. Well, you've played quite a bit of Mass Effect now, Andromeda.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah,
How are you getting along on it?
To be honest, I've actually kind of put it on hold. It hasn't grabbed me as much as I thought it would, and that's a bit of a shame. There's nothing for me personally. There's nothing technically wrong with the game. The game has got all of the Mass Effect kind of trimmings. But I'm just not finding the story compelling enough that I want to follow it through any further or do anything with it. It's not that I'm not going to play it. It's just I've kind of got other games, and particularly with the GTA SC ongoing, the Great True Achievement Score Challenge, which is kind of ramping up and requiring a lot of kind of quick points and quick scoring. I tend to put games that are requiring a lot of time investment without points to the side, or I don't have time for more than one of those because Elite, of course, takes up a lot of my time anyway. So yeah, it's been sitting on the side. It's still pinned, like it's still there for me to go to. I think also another thing that kind of annoyed me with it, and possibly a reason I haven't gone back to it, is that those achievements for your squadrons, those your strike teams, I still haven't been able to unlock those. They basically look like they've glitched on me. I can't get the level 20 strike team or have 6 strike team things. It just won't pop for me. So I'm just like, as I'd spend all this time in the app grinding those up and getting my 6th team, and it's like, well, no, I can't get into the trigger. So I'm a little bit frustrated with that, and so I guess I kind of put it down there, and
I can see that being
the game
frustrating.
itself hasn't. Yeah, and I haven't. It hasn't been compelling enough for me to go back and do anything more with it. So I guess I sort of dip into it occasionally, but it's been about a week or so since I really looked at it.
Ultimately, that's the general sentiment around the internet. And so some of the news that's been percolating as of recent was there's a big patch, a big update that bug fixes, and I just counted this list. There are 50 items on here. And like, some of them are pretty darn significant. I'm trying to clean this thing up, and this isn't the first patch either. I mean, there's been 2 other ones prior to this of really trying to hammer out some of these bugs, glitches, some of the nonsense that's been happening that's really soured a lot of people's experiences in this game. And as such, sales have been much lower than I think they anticipated. And
I don't think it's a failure by any sense of the word. No, but it's hasn't met the expectations.
I think that's the problem, is meeting expectations, and that whether they were pumped up too high or they I don't quite know how to feel about this, because everyone's I've heard who's played the game says it's fun, it's great, I enjoy it, I'm having a good time, but the measure with which you're comparing it to is the original trilogy, which is widely regarded as one of the best trilogies or best gaming experiences in all of gaming. There are so many people who hold such high regard for that series, and to come out with this one as your new introduction into the world has been underwhelming for them. If this came out and was not a Mass Effect game, right? If it was like Andromeda Exploration or something, I'm sure there's a clever marketing name there, but would that have changed maybe your perception and you would, be a little more open to what the experiences are?
I don't know. It's the problem with it, I think, is that there's a lot of things that are just familiar, but it feels a lot like dressing, and it's kind of like and another thing as well I find with it is just the sheer size of it is overwhelming. It's like you start opening up planets, and you can imagine like in a regular game you'd have, let's say, Watch Dogs, for example. Watch Dogs, you'd open up, you'd have the entire city available for you there, and you would find all of these things you can do on there, and there's a big open world kind of map with all these things on there, but you've got the entire thing. Mass Effect, on the other hand, has multiple worlds which have these multiple areas with all of these massive amounts of things you can do. Like I've literally, I think the last bit I got to, I just opened up like the first sort of alien, you meet these aliens who are your friends and you get access to their world. And I didn't realize this at the time because I'd just seen like a little bit of it before I opened it up. And I did the first kind of quest. It opens up that world, and that world's huge. It's like this big city, and it's got all these quest markers on it. And I'm just like, there is so much to do, and it's like, I could go on to the next quest, like main quest of the storyline. But I guess the thing is as well that at the point I'm at with the storyline, it hasn't really gripped me yet. Like all it is about, okay, go and make these planets habitable, which is sort of, it's a okay kind of goal. But in the sense of Mass Effect generally, you're like every single Mass Effect before it has been about, okay, you're the sole hero trying to save the universe from a massive threat that's coming to destroy and wipe out everything. Yeah. You don't really have that kind of, like, you've kind of got hints of that, at least in the stage I've got to in the game, that there might be something going on, but it's not massive enough to really make you go, wow, I am against the odds here. You're just kind of dilly-dallying around making planets habitable. And it's kind of like, it just doesn't feel compelling. I guess that's part of the problem. So, plus just the sheer amount of crap that you need to do. I guess I just, at the moment, I want to get back to it. I don't have time for that right now, particularly with, other competitions and things going on in my life. So,
well, it sounds like you take all the time you want, because according to Kotaku and some sources they've had, that actually the whole franchise has been put on hold, and BioWare Montreal has actually been downsized. They've been firing some people and reducing the overhead on the staff and saying, this didn't go as we had planned. We need to take a step back and reevaluate. Now, the BioWare team that had originally done Mass Effect is working on their new IP. Right, so that, let's call it the A team, right? I have to assume that's the A team that worked on that, and then this team is not the A team. I don't want to say any grade lower, but this is a studio that team. That maybe isn't quite up to doing. A lot of the interviews I've heard, or people relating to the game, have just said they took everything that all the fans of the series liked, and they put everything they wanted into the game. And it was like, slow down. You can't put everything in the game. That's too much, and it's a big, junky mess. Like, we need some direction. We are our own worst enemy. You said you wanted puzzles, exploration, combat, blah, 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 all this stuff. Yeah, let's do it. We can do all that stuff. And it's just turned into this big, hulking, just not that compelling mess of a game.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if it's just too much of an open world. It's an open universe, but there's too many little piddly things to do, and I don't know. It's just hasn't grabbed me, hasn't gripped me as much as I expected. No, I'm not sort of hanging on the edge of my seat, going, "What's the next thing that's going to happen in the story?" Because I just actually don't really care. Because the next bit's like, okay, well, I'll open up another planet. Okay, well, I guess I'll open up another planet then and start colonizing that. Yay! Like, that's what it feels like. There's not that sense of awe and impending doom that you got from the earlier Mass Effects. At least, certainly not. I mean, I must be at least a third of the way in the game. And if you haven't got that, if you haven't kind of got that, must drive on to continue to see what the hell happens. feeling from a third of the game, then you know what's going on.
Right.
Anyway, we've been on that subject for a bit too long.
Yes, so let's talk about another depressing situation. Square Enix has said that they are going to divest ownership of IO Interactive, the studio that makes the Hitman series. The publisher has said that they have suffered tons and tons of losses, $42 million in losses.
Ouch.
And that they're like, we just can't afford to keep this subsidiary. So we're going to sell it to somebody else. The rumor is.
So they're saying, oh, wow. Sorry, I just went to that page and I loaded up a video and played in my ears. That's great. Thanks, website. So, they're saying that the company themselves, Square Enix, have lost $42 million. So they're not attributing it to
not to Hitman.
Interactive. They're just getting rid of it. Because I was going to say, I thought the Hitman series was actually doing pretty well. Like their episodic content, their latest release was actually doing reasonably well as well.
I had heard that too. So much so that they're coming out with another season of content for it. And despite all odds, I thought that approach to coming out with a game was ridiculous. But
nobody really thought good things about that from
no. Well, I think just what ended up happening was, because I remember every time a new episode would come out, and I'd see Maka post a video on it, and it was like.
And the funny thing is, I remember Maka being the most critical of that too. I heard him rant and rave about how bad this was going to be, but no, he's in there. It's like,
well, okay, and so like you think now you've got essentially 5 releases for the game, right? You get to release the game 5 different times. Now, of course, you have diminishing returns on subsequent releases, but you're in the media cycle at least for 5 large, significant times of the year. Which that's exactly what you want, because most of these developers, they make so much of their money in that first 90 days that if you can stretch that time out or have multiple introductions for the game, that's why DLC comes out at that 90-day mark, really.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a worry. I guess the news here is more a bit of a worry about Square Enix. If they've lost $42 million in the financial year, then you kind of go, is they okay?
Despite the success of Final Fantasy 15, you can't spend, 10 years on a game? And then to say, well, this thing has to make $70 billion for us to break even. And it's like, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 15 is not their only game, of course, but it's interesting. I wonder what they actually attributed that $42 million to. I wonder if they've had to write down something. So they're selling off IO Interactive anyway. So I guess that probably makes sense. If IO Interactive and the Hitman series are actually doing well, and they're actually a good target for selling because you can actually sell them for a reasonable amount of money. I guess it makes sense. But that does mean that Hitman is in a bit of a flux position because you don't know whether somebody's going to buy the developer and then shut them down or move them to something else or what. Yeah.
It is weird. And then finally, last bit of bad news, and then we'll move on to some good stuff, is a kind of a collection of Remedy news. We'll start with Alan Wake being delisted. Came out of nowhere, and by the time this show comes out, it is long gone. So I hope you picked it up when you could have. I think every gaming outlet did the best they could to alert any possible person, like, oh my God, you guys, get on the game, because it's literally like 3 days from announcement, it's gone. And it's all because of music licensing issues. And we've heard things like this for multiple games where issues like this crop up. I think most notably is like December 31st of every year. All of a sudden it's like, yep, Marvel, all the Marvel licenses are gone, or all the Disney, see ya. And you just hear stuff all of a sudden up and poof, it's gone. So I think just kind of as a word of a PSA, a general word of caution to everybody, if you have games that have licensed property in them, so popular music, so I'm thinking the Guitar Heroes, the Rock Bands, any game that has a soundtrack that uses
a lot of racing games that have soundtracks. I think that's why I think
Forza
2 and Forza 3 all disappeared because of that.
Yep.
They might have come back by now, but yeah, anything like that has licensed music issues, they will disappear off the marketplace if those licenses are not renewed. So just be wary.
Be wary. And then, of course, high publicity gaming media franchises. So Disney's, Star Wars, Marvel, DC. I mean, there's tons of them, right? Licensed properties are all over the place because they sell games, they make money. So just be wary of the titles you're sitting on and whether or not they might at some point die, especially if they're on the 360.
Yeah, and if you already own them, DLC will be the issue there because the DLC will also delist or disappear, and you can never get that again.
Yeah. So let's talk about some good Remedy news, Tarragon. Why don't you take over?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's good or not. I like it. Remedy, it's interesting. Remedy are actually planning an IPO. So they're going to be selling shares, public shares. So I think this is, from what I was reading of the article, this is basically a move to try and retain their IP, because they've got deals with Microsoft and mainly with Microsoft, and so they basically want to retain their own IP and retain control of that. Yeah. So I'm not really sure how the deal with Microsoft works and who owns control of that IP, but evidently that's been on their mind because they have also decided to break away from Microsoft Publishing, and they've signed a deal with 505 Games to do their publishing from now on. So sorry.
Remedy has really put, I constantly see tweets from them about new hirings. They're expanding, and they've been talking about their collection of games. After Quantum Break release, and they said, you know what, we're changing our approach. We can't release one game every 4 years and hope for the best. We are making multiple games and having multiple, development teams work on these titles. And I think they've talked that they've got like 4 to 6 projects they're working on. Of course, every publisher or every developer has 4 to 6 projects, but these are like active development projects, not those like, we kind of made something and it's ready to, we're ready to move on to it when we want to. I know those projects exist. No, these are like serious development. Like we should be expecting maybe 2 announces this year, 2 announces next year, and that they would continue to roll out more frequent games to, and this could be another part of the IPO piece where, hey, we got to expand. Well, we need an influx of money as well so we can hire more people and expand.
Yeah, I guess the risk of that, of course, is that if they do an IPO, if they don't retain a majority of the shares, then they might get bought out by the likes of Vivendi or someone.
Vivendi will get them. Yeah.
So, it's kind of it could be a poison chalice.
Do you think that? What if Microsoft is just licking their chops? Like, oh yes, Remedy, you just go ahead and sell your company off.
Yeah,
Phil Spencer caressing his hairless cat high upon the Redmond campus. Yes,
I'll get
Sam
you this
Lake.
time, Remedy. This time.
Oh, Sam Lake, you're falling right into my trap. Yeah, I don't know, huh? There it is. There's a bold E3 prediction next year.
Yep.
2018's E3. Remedy will be a new first-party studio for Microsoft.
Microsoft has majority ownership of Remedy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Phil Spencer buys third hairless cat.
With Remedy tattooed on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk Minecraft.
Moving on. Yeah, Minecraft. This one's probably more of a PSA than anything else. Minecraft's Windows 10 edition is coming to Xbox One. At least that's the rumor. I haven't heard it confirmed from more than one source at this stage. But the Xbox One version has, of course, anybody who's played any of the other variants of Minecraft that have come out on the phones and on Windows 10 and so forth, know that you've got sort of the ability to import worlds and access to realms. It's also a few steps ahead of where the console versions are as far as the patch release goes against mainline Minecraft. So the speculation or rumor is that the Windows 10 edition, so that's essentially the Pocket Edition version of Minecraft, will be coming and replacing the current edition of the console edition. So what that means is potentially the achievements will either change. It'll either be a new game which will replace the old one And who knows what will happen with the achievements at that point. So I guess my warning, and I've been sort of saying this to a few people, is if you haven't wrapped up the achievements in Minecraft yet on Xbox One, it's probably a good time to do that, just in case something happens and those achievements are discontinued and replaced with a new set or something like that.
We've seen a lot of that with the Windows 10, like the app games, like the Microsoft Solitaire and Age of Empires even. They're all switching to UWP.
Yeah, so that's what makes me think of it. It's kind of like, yes, it's going to be an automatic replacement of the title, but does that mean that you lose access to the previous achievements? We don't know. So, I would say get them done sooner rather than later. I haven't actually noticed a lot of people have been going and completing a lot of Minecraft One achievements lately. So
that would explain
that's
the impetus for you bothering people in Discord and trying to track worlds down.
Exactly. Yeah. So, just
and
a
you
PSA.
waited to the show to tell me, man. Jeez. I got to find out this way?
I don't think it's going to drop, tomorrow or anything. But
June 13th when they have the press conference. That's when we're all doomed.
Exactly. Other news for Xbox Live, the Creators Program has announced, sort of indirectly, that there will be, at the very least, keyboard support coming to Xbox One. So developers will be able to build Xbox One titles that require and use a keyboard, and probably a mouse. So what that means for the rest of the games, I'm not too sure, but it is an interesting tidbit of information that it's been essentially straight out of the horse's mouth that, yes, that is coming. When, I don't know, but probably in a future update. Whether or not existing games will support that sort of thing, particularly FPSs would be the key sort of market there. Whether or not those titles will support keyboard and mouse is up in the air, and whether games like, say, Halo Wars 2 supports keyboard and mouse. I think that it already supports it on the Windows 10 version, so it would sort of be a bit of a no-brainer for them to allow it on the Xbox One version. But yeah, it's interesting. We'll sort of see the Xbox One's kind of becoming more and more PC-like as far as its game ability is concerned. So it's kind of a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Other fun Microsoft and Xbox news. Jez Corden of Windows Central. You've heard his name before, I'm sure. He got his hands on an internal Microsoft... It's essentially an internal database. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's demographics and statistics
it's like
on the
stats
Xbox
of
Live.
All the users.
Xbox One owners, yeah.
Yeah, they did a survey, apparently, of 2,000 Xbox One owners to get just an understanding of what the U.S. market looks like. And so they got some interesting demographics on this page. So if you go to our show notes, you can click on this link and take a peek at these pictures. But I'll do my best to translate some of them here for you. Gender split. We've got 58% men, 42% female on how the U.S. Again, this is U.S. What the average age is a 33-year-old. And they've kind of split them into age brackets. So your 25 to 34-year-olds are 28%, and 35 to 44-year-olds are 23%. So kind of that
23%.
Yeah, that kind of range, right? You're looking at, about almost 55% in that window, and I think that's probably where most of our listeners are as well. So despite hearing all the young people and on your boosting sessions, it's actually between 25 and 44 is a vast majority of gamers. There are 66% of those over 55 years of age, so that's kind of fun. Living arrangements. This was interesting. So 45% of people live with their spouse, and another 11% live with an unmarried partner. So you've got 56% there have a person of who they care about, right? A significant other that they're with.
I was surprised with the only 5% live with roommates. That was much, much lower than I expected.
And I think only one person lives with crewmates. So
that's amazing.
Here's another surprising one, and it's still relatively high, but I would have thought it was higher. 23% live at home with your parents. Actually, I would have thought, well, maybe that's about right. 1 in 4 Xbox users live with their parents. If the average age is 33, Maybe. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
But then you look at... Oh, go ahead.
Live at home with parents and live alone. So just to fulfill that stereotype, only 33% of people actually fulfill that whole stereotype of living at home in the basement or living alone.
Yeah, so one third of you gamers are, degenerates who, creep around in basements, I think is what Xbox is saying. No, yes. That's not true. But there's a decent income for most people here where the average, so we got 21% for both of these demographics, so between 50,000 a year and 100,000 a year, each of them is 21%. So that entire range is 42% of the population. That's a pretty decent income for the United States. I mean, that's very, very good living. I mean, you can be comfortable, especially if you're one of those people living with your parents. If you're making $75,000 living with your parents, you've got some serious dependency issues because you can easily afford to go somewhere to get an apartment or whatever. But
then they won't have money for games.
That's true. Maybe that's why it's so well done. The other thing then is they talked about. Part of this was breaking down how people play. They were curious about what types of user groups that we have here, and then specifically how to market toward them, right? So like the socializing group, that's your LFGs, your clubs, your Facebook friends. They've identified that's 53% of users like to do that. They spend time playing multiplayer, 17 hours a week. Yep. 4 times more friends than average. That's interesting. Whereas then they've identified 50 or 49% of people they call the exploring group, and they and this I feel is a little low, but they play an average of 15 titles a year. Do you know what CLV stands for? High CLV. I don't know what that stands for.
Something volume. I'm not too sure. Actually.
But this is kind of the Game Pass group. They kind of dabble. That's their kind of group. I mean, I think of all of us, and I think
it's customer lifetime value.
Oh, there you go. So high customer lifetime value. Okay, because they're committed to your brand and they want to keep spending money with you. So it's a good group to be in. 15 titles a year. That's I think consistently I do 25 games a month. Not necessarily say I finish them, but I'm playing 25 games a month.
We must remember as high-ranking sort of true achievements stats niche people. We are by far outside of the norms.
Yep. So maybe we fit into this bracket, the achievement bracket. Now, Tarragon, you and I have discussed maybe what achievement means, and not necessarily achievement per se as earning achievements. You're achievement hunters, but finding pleasure and satisfaction in earning things within games. So if that means completing the game or doing challenges or whatever, these are. But they do mention the leaderboard people, the achievement tracker people. These people tend to have a gamer score twice as much as everybody else. The higher tenured, they're all 37 months or longer. I assume that's the people who grab their Xbox Live accounts. And high multiplayer time, 14 hours a week playing multiplayer games, which, again, I guess technically I do 14 hours a week because I do 2 hours every day. But, man, you gave me my druthers, I would play a lot more than that.
But that's are you playing 14 hours a week of multiplayer? I mean, you're doing 2 hours a day of
kind of anything.
Single player, so, yeah.
I suppose. And then there's 2 cool little graphs here. They're a little confusing to look at, but they break down kind of the what motivates a gamer when they play. And so they have kind of these web drawings of the problem solving and achievements and challenging yourself or challenging others, and they go around and you can take a look at this. It's cool. I won't go through it here, but it's interesting how these demographics break down. I look at kind of where we sit as achievement hunters. And you can kind of see how it breaks up is we're high at the discovery exploration, achievements, obviously, the mental challenge we like. And then there's a dip where it's challenging self and challenging, competition with others. Yeah, we're not so much interested in that. We just want the achievements. So if you could just take that crap out of there, that'd be great. But we'd still have high creativity. We like the learning curve. We don't necessarily want pick up and play. We want to really get into it.
We don't necessarily like push button to achieve. We'd prefer, push two buttons to achieve.
Bingo. Yeah. Or set up a Cronus macro or something, but whatever. Anyway, super cool stuff. I thought this was really interesting information. So if you are curious about, maybe where we fall or as achievement hunters, or if maybe you don't adhere to an achievement hunter group and you're just a casual gamer or maybe a more casual gamer.
And if you are, thanks for listening.
Yeah, for sure. Cool stuff. So take a look at the show notes. You can peek at how they break those things down. Speaking of achievements hunters and everything that we love here, Maka has updated his 2017 list of easiest games. What does this list look like, Tarragon?
Well, it's much bigger than I thought it would be, actually. And there's a bunch of games on there I haven't crossed my radar, particularly for ease. Like Siegecraft Commander is apparently one of those takes you 5 hours for the completion sort of games.
Wow.
But yeah, there's he's just posted this. I saw it on Twitter just before the show that basically he'd had some help from Loveboat Gopher on Reddit to update this list. So yeah, it's up to date as of early May.
I am seeing a lot of ACA Neo Geo on this list.
Yeah, I would probably take off most of the ones that are the fighting game ones, except for World Heroes. World Heroes was super easy. The other ones I haven't found to be so easy, but everything else.
Are they like
Sengoku?
Are they like the completion one, like where you look at Geometry Wars as a completion, and I think the time in there is like that can take you like 2 hours for a full completion. It's like, yeah, but you need to be damn good at Geometry Wars to get it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
he has a difficulty rating, and nothing on there has a difficulty rating over 5. So, yeah, the hardest one he's got there is Aero, which is a game we reviewed a while back. And that certainly does require a bit of practice to get through, but I wouldn't necessarily consider it the hardest of the titles.
I don't know. Dave Kinetic seems to be pretty stoked that he completed it. Every time I watch the TA stream, he's tooting his own horn.
Yeah, I've heard that. But I gathered from Crandy, I didn't get far enough in to see the harder difficulties, but I gathered from Crandy that, it's really basically down to memorization and just working out a bit of strategy. So I don't think it'd be that hard of a completion if you're reasonable with action games. But yeah, Geometry Wars isn't on here, obviously, because that would be like a 10 for difficulty. And
it released in like 06.
Yeah, exactly. So the easiest games of 2006, maybe. Yeah, a lot of these are like the Artifacts Mundi games, a lot of the point-and-click games, Blackwood Crossing, which is sort of a point-and-click / walking simulator kind of game. Yeah. And a lot of the ACA ones. The ACA Neo Geo games basically all have a very similar set of achievements, which is, they've got sort of 3 main modes you've got to get through, get to certain points in those 3 main modes, and then upload high scores on a couple of them, and then you're done. Even if you can't get the completion on those, you can usually knock out a good 300 or 400 points without too much effort. So if nothing else, they are good for quick points in that regard.
Yeah.
Some are easier than others. Some are easier if you happen to know your fighting games.
Fantastic.
Anyway,
it's a good list.
the link is there. Yeah, it's a good list. Many we already know. Some I hadn't heard of before, so I'll be going to check those out again because that's always good fodder for the GTASC.
Yeah. Bingo bongo.
Yeah,
we're getting at that time. It's getting heated.
Yeah, we're into the top 100 now, actually. We just made the top 100.
I think there's 90 teams left. So what? Well, I don't know how many are being eliminated tomorrow as of recording, but I will mention that at the end of the show.
Yay! All right, moving on. What was the next thing here? We had
G2A keys.
Yeah, I don't know how seriously to take this because anytime you hear people complaining on Reddit about being suspended on Xbox Live, they'll talk and give a sob story, and then half the time you find out that actually, no, they were suspended because actually they are just a bit of a douchebag.
Yep.
In this case, though, he's someone's saying that he's basically been done for marketplace theft on his account, and the reason for that was because of a code that he used from G2A. So he bought a code off G2A. That account had been, or that code had been stolen from somewhere, and had been reported as such. he used the code, got his account banned. So yeah, I guess it's just more of a just be careful what you buy, particularly from sort of those grey market places like G2A or CD Keys and so on and so forth. So yeah, just to be aware of that. You don't know really where they come from.
Gotcha. All right.
Yep.
Now the big topic. We had mentioned it at the beginning of the show. This is kind of what we wanted to get into this week. In lieu of the E3 bingo being announced, we wanted to have the Z2Z bold E3 predictions. These are some big, wild, crazy predictions that we have. Now, mine were all Microsoft focused. I didn't specify, and so Tarragon, you got a little bit more all over the place. But how about we go back and forth? Maybe you give one, I give one.
Sounds good.
So I have mentioned in the past about my feelings of Microsoft and their the Microsoft farm system, and so my first prediction is that Microsoft unveils the ID at Xbox Exclusives Club, and this will feature new second-party indie developers that are published by Microsoft. So they are not going to be first parties; they're still going to maintain their independence, but Microsoft will be paying for exclusive distribution of these indie titles, creating a farm system like what they did with Undead Labs and State of Decay, and then down the road, if it's successful, they would pull them under, and they're going to have a clever marketing name for it. I called it the Exclusives Club. I think they'll do a much better job than I will, but that is my first bold prediction.
The Black Label Club or something.
Yeah. And I think they're going to play up that ID at Xbox piece and find a clever way to pull that in there. So that's my first one.
Alrighty. Well, my first one was THQ Nordic will announce a new Red Faction open world game, and it will basically be a future-based GTA on Mars.
Hey, all right.
That's what I reckon they'll do.
Colony building and griefing and prostitutes.
All of that. Yep. Everything.
Brilliant. Now we're talking. My second one, Project Scorpio is going to announce VR compatibility with both Vive and Oculus, and it's going to feature Xbox VR games headlined by Minecraft VR and Avatar VR. And by Avatar VR, I mean your avatar little dude there. It'll be like a rec room type thing where you can go in as your avatar, the new expanded world of avatars, and just goof around and throw darts at people and kick people in the crotch or whatever you want to do in VR. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I would be happy if it did, because it would mean we probably would get access to the Batman VR exclusive, which is the only Arkham game that I can't play.
There you go.
So my other one was my next one was Microsoft announces an Xbox 360 handheld device, and a wave of new developers on board to develop for it.
I like that one. I mean, you look at the Switch, and that pretty much is a juiced 360. So you think you could do something. Now, would it use discs? I assume everything would have to be digital download then on those,
it would
right?
all be digital. Digital or USB.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. My third one, kind of along those lines, is that Xbox is going to announce the Xbox Originals Collection, like Rare Replay, with a series of games that you can find on the OG Xbox. So, your Voodoo Vince, your Phantom Dust, those things, well, we're going to get more.
Achievements?
With achievements, yeah. It'll be like a collection. It'll be a brand new bundle, like Rare Replay, and all those ones that you don't have, they'll be grouped on disc, and there you go.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. If they could,
I don't know where the IPs lie and how convoluted that might be, but
that'll probably get pretty complicated.
I think they could do it.
If the Rare Replay story is anything to go by, and them trying to get GoldenEye, that's going to be a pretty long and convoluted process. All right, so my next one was Ubisoft announces a handover to Vivendi, and the Vivendi's CEO is confirmed to actually own a real Apple of Eden.
Nice. So he's the guy, right? Man, yep. So that's the new Assassin's Creed right there, is actually the full circle where we actually infiltrate Vivendi. And of course, he's got the Apple of Eden, so he's actually mind controlling everybody at Ubisoft. So that's where I was leading with that. Brilliant. Mine is that Scorpio is going to have a $500 2 terabyte special edition to release on August 29th, followed up by a $400 normal edition released on October 24th. Those are my dates.
$400, eh?
Those are my dates. Those are my prices. And I'm putting my flag in the ground.
All right, well, I've got one related to that, which we'll get to. I may as well do that one now then. Microsoft announces Scorpio for sale immediately. So at E3, it will be for sale. And they're going to rename it the Xbox Ichi to try and capture the Japanese market. Ichi being one in Japanese, of course.
I actually kind of like that name, to be honest. Like
Itchy Xbox.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm feeling a little itchy myself, but it's kind of a cool little name. I'm very curious about it's got to be called Xbox, right? And there's so many people who are thinking that it's going to be the Xbox One Pro to then go head to head with the Sony, the PlayStation 4 Pro, and say, yeah, I'm looking for the Pro, and you say, well, you got Sony, the PS4 Pro, or the Xbox One Pro. Which one's better? Well, the Xbox One Pro is, but it's $50 more expensive or whatever. It is so boring. That is so boring, especially when and we already know it's not going to be called Scorpio. Like, we know that, especially with that interview that Major Nelson had with Alfred Pinella.
The funny thing is, though, it's got such, amongst Xbox people, it's actually got really good brand recognition. So it's kind of like, you almost think, why wouldn't you go with that?
Well, so that's what they're still calling it, the Scorpio engine. So that was his claim that, it's still going to have the name Scorpio in it. Like, no one's going to say the engine. We don't care about the engine. We want what the box is called. So, I agree.
Yeah, it's kind of like the PlayStation 3 with its emotion engine. It's not referred to as the PlayStation Emotion. So,
no. My last one is that Microsoft is adding 5 new exclusive IP to their upcoming catalog to join the likes of Sea of Thieves, Below, State of Decay, Forza, Halo, Gears, Cuphead, Tacoma, you got the list. We're going to get 5 new ones on stage.
All right.
So we'll count them, and hopefully I'm right.
I think you might actually not be too far off on the mark on that one. My last one was Nintendo to release remakes of older titles on the Xbox One and PS4, with achievements, of course.
That would be fantastic.
So, I want to see Super Mario World or Super Mario 64 on the Xbox. It's got to happen.
I can see it.
Come on, Nintendo. Come on, Nintendo.
I have a very similar Nintendo-based prediction that I will save for a later time, but I'm on board with you, man. I get it. Feedback time. Let's turn it over to the community and see what they are curious about. We'll start with Mick Love and Legend. He asks, what is your favorite feature on TA? Is it boosting, to-dos lists, period summaries? Where do you fall there, Tarragon?
I would have to say it's just the achievement tracking in general. That's what brought me to the site. That's what keeps and drives everything else on the site. That has got to be far and away the most useful feature for me.
Yeah.
But I have sort of had to think a bit further on that, because my first thought was actually my gaming collection, because that's probably the thing I deal with at the most now, because I need to track so many things. But solutions, I think, was the other driving force that got me to true achievements.
Yeah.
It's you go there to try and find solutions for achievements and then track how well you're doing compared to everyone else. So those are the two major features. But games collection, and then the potential for the contests that happen to go along with that particular tracking. So but I think it has to root down to a tracking of achievements.
Totally agree. And to be honest, I didn't even I totally took that for granted when I was thinking of this.
That's the thing. You take it so for granted, but that's the core of the site. That is the feature that drives the entire site. So
how the hell did I even get here? It was like I was so pissed I couldn't figure out Dead Rising, and so I looked up a solution, and guess what? TA had my solution, and I'm like, oh my god, they've got all the achievements on here. They got my whole library on here. This is fantastic. So I went with my games collection because that's kind of the new thing that I really like. I'm kind of a hoarder, and so I want to just see everything I own on one. Well, on 15 pages worth of data, but it's all there. It shows me
only 15.
Yeah, wow. Shows me my collection. I can sort it by how far I am on many of them. Like, oh, look at that! I'm almost done with Destiny, and Zuma's Revenge is pretty high. I just need one more achievement, and I get excited about stuff like that. But
stats
stats are there. I mean, man. I love the site, and thank you, Rich and Jack and Dave and everybody for what you do at TA. I am fully on board with that site. TrueAchievements.com is just brilliant. And
thanks, McCullough, for the question as well.
Absolutely. R56 Cooper S11, he says, hey, I saw this on Oz Game Shop Facebook page, and he thought it'd be a good question for you guys to answer. If you woke up in the last video game you played, what would be the first thing you'd do? So I think we need to, what is the last video game you played? I have 3. I know what my most last one is. So I played Boggle. Okay, well, that's not really a world, so I'm going to count that one out. Titanfall. I had Titanfall Thursday. I played that one. That would be a lot of fun to be in. But my most recent was Destiny. What was your most recent?
Most recent on Xbox was Elite Dangerous, probably unsurprisingly.
Okay.
There was another game, and I looked it up earlier today, and I forgot the name of it already. But it's sort of like it's called, I think it's just called Space Game or something silly like that on iOS, and it is essentially like it's like Clicker Heroes, but it's done in kind of low-res space kind of version, and you click on this little thing to generate watts to drive your ship and get it going, and then you put up solar panels, and then finally your computer turns itself on, and the only thing it's got access to is the potato generation section. So basically, you're building satellites out of potatoes and doing all these things. It's really humorous. It's really quite funny. So I've been playing that and just kind of idling through all the bits of story on that one.
Sure.
But
not
but
quite
Elite Dangerous
the world. So it's funny. We both have space. We wake up in the middle of space in different universes.
So the first thing I would do, I think, in Elite Dangerous is just because if I was really there, I would just go and buy one of those super fast ships and go fly it as fast as I can, because that would be really cool.
You see, my problem in Destiny is I can't do that because A, I have no control over my ship, apparently, and B, the entire universe is surrounded...
It's not actually in space.
Yeah, the entire universe is actually surrounded by a darkness that is consuming all life. So, I'm pretty limited to as far out as Saturn. I don't think I can go any further than Saturn. That would be super fun. Mine, so if I woke up in Destiny, I'd likely be in the tower. And I think my first order of business would be to go to the Cryptarch and punch him in the stomach.
See, the thing is... The one at the tower is actually not the most annoying one. It's the guy at the
reef.
That reef guy is
that
such
jackwagon,
a narky, annoying character. I just want to.
Yeah. So and then after I was done with the Cryptarch, I'd walk over. I'd go to that sweeper broom or the sweeper bot, and I'd take his broom. And then I'd walk over to the speaker and I'd club him on the head, and I'd try to get the frickin' story out of him. Like, dude, tell me what the hell happened here, man. Like, what's going on? And then I'd go to the Eververse and I would punch her in the face for all her microtransaction nonsense.
So I'm sensing a lot of frustration with Destiny here that you want to get out.
And then
you do like that game, right?
Yeah, and then I'd go and I'd hang out with Cade 6 in a bar, and then we'd go shooting stuff. Yeah, so I'd get all my aggression out in the tower, and then I'd go start shooting stuff and get more aggression out in the world.
Can you punch Erin on the way while you're there? It's just like with her over dramatic everything.
Oh, Eris Morn, yeah,
Eris, that's right.
Oh, Guardian. Life is so poopy here on the tower. I don't do a good Eris Morn. She's got a great voice.
Oh my God, everything is so black, so black. It's all bleeding from the eyes. It's all black. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Saucy Slingo has a couple of questions for us. One is the Summer Games Done Quick lineup is out and is approaching quickly. Ugh. Gross. My question for you is, have you ever, or if you did do a speed run, what game would you choose and why? And it doesn't have to be an Xbox game. Any game will do. You could also try going for a game that many people have not sped run. And if you're curious, the list, there's a link here with the list of the games that are being attacked here. Have you started to see some of the Prey runs now? I
heard there was like a 20-minute run of Prey, wasn't there?
That was on Monday, and then on Thursday it was down to 11 minutes.
Wow!
And I think today someone beat it in 9. So
crazy.
It is crazy.
They're breaking out of the geometry to do that, from what I gather. So
I'm
kind of wondering if those bugs are going to get fixed, and then they're just not going to be able to do those speedruns anymore without downgrading their game. But
it's curious. It's so. I mean, as far as we achievement hunters go, and we get all up in arms about, that stupid achievement where you unlock all other achievements isn't unlocking, and how can we work around it or force a check, or, we try to do things to trick the system into getting us our achievements. These guys are doing the exact same thing, only they are trying to trick the system or break the system in order to get shorter and shorter times. And it is a fascinating world that these gamers live in.
I remember seeing some of the portal runs, the original Portal, and some of the glitching out of the map and jumping around. It's just crazy the things you don't realize that you could do.
Yeah.
just abusing some of the bugs. And I think even some of the Halo speedrunners do those kind of things. They just kind of glitch themselves over a wall outside of the map, and then they can just bypass sections of the thing for speed. And it's crazy stuff.
It is. It's insane. And especially some of the older games where the way that the memory works is like you can trick the game into thinking you've done things that you haven't because of the way the information stacks. And then it's like, okay, if you do this and then jump here and then this and this and this and then this, and then sometimes the game will reset and you'll be at the end of the game. And it's like, and so you'll finish in 35 seconds. But you have to get all of these button presses and everything to fit perfectly. And it's like, how the hell did you even come up with that? Like, I am just blown away. But in general, the speedrunning community is about doing things efficiently, quickly, finding ways to approach the game to get things done faster. For myself, I'm not much of a speedrun guy just because I look at those achievements and I think, those would be really great to get, but I can't usually devote the time to get that good at a game to be able to do that. And so the one that always comes to mind, and I've mentioned on the show multiple times, is Braid, that achievement for beating the game under 3 hours, which is tricky. I mean, you have to be on your game. Now, of course, you're not doing anything to break the game or circumvent puzzles or anything. You have to execute all the puzzles and do everything in order, but the excitement of seeing that clock in the upper corner and just knowing, oh my God, I've got 15 minutes left and I'm at the final level, but I know there's a video cutscene at the end. How long is that cutscene? I think it's 6 minutes. Okay, I got to beat this. And you're just your palms are sweating and the anticipation of, oh, am I getting there? Am I going to do it? It's certainly a level of excitement that knowing there's an achievement at the end of it, not just posting a really great time, just doubly adds to the fun of that type of endeavor. Do you got any speedrun?
Yeah, I think the only game that I sort of really enjoy doing a speedrun of would be trying to get the full 100% in Batman Arkham Asylum, so the very original Arkham Asylum. Just because I've played through that game 6 times now, and I've kind of nailed most of it, and I'm pretty sure if I practiced it a bit, I could actually get a pretty decent time on that, just from completely blank slate through to all the Riddler trophies and doing all of the challenges. I reckon I could probably knock that out in under 7 or 8 hours. I reckon I could probably get the entire thing done. I've gotten pretty quick at getting all of that now. So I wouldn't mind trying. I might actually. I was just kind of just idly thinking. I've been kind of pondering Extra Life this year, and I sort of thought, maybe do a full run of Batman Arkham Asylum for Extra Life.
Be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool. I like it. Saucy follows up with another question saying that his first completion recently went backwards compatible. It was Harm's Way. And he was wondering, what is our first completions? So I delved into my games list, and my first completion was Assassin's Creed, the first one with...
Wow.
Yeah. And then I subsequently finished Assassin's Creed 2 as my second completion. So that'll give you an idea of the timing, but...
Yeah, I wonder if we got ours around about the same time, because certainly Assassin's Creed is like my 9th completion, followed directly with Assassin's Creed 2. But my very first one is apparently Puzzle Quest, Challenge of the Warlords. So there you go. And then Lego Batman, CSI Hard Evidence. That was a particularly difficult one. then another couple more Lego ones. Then Bully, Scholarship Edition, one of my early completions. Another Lego game. Dead Rising 2, Case Zero. So that would have been about when that came out, I reckon. Then Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2. So, yeah, it's just interesting looking back at my log there. I didn't know that Puzzle Quest was the first one. So,
And that's that match 3 kind of RPG thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Fascinating. All right. Our next question from Cowboy Killer 360. He says, hey, a couple things on my mind. I've been working through Crandy's favorite game, Saints Row 4, and wanted to know if Get Out of Hell is just as good, air quotes, and if he has finished the stack. Now, of course, Crandy is all about that, but you've played Get Out of Hell, right?
Ever. I have dived it, I think, but I haven't played it.
I thought you went deep into that. I won't touch these games. They do nothing for me.
I've never really been that interested in Saints Row, even though I do actually own lots of variants of it. I've just never really played them. But from what I gather from the way Crandy's ranted about Get Out of Hell, it is actually worse than Saints Row 4.
I get that sensation too.
I think Prue and Crandy agree that it's actually worse. And yes, they have played the stacks.
Yeah. So the other thing he was curious about is if we have looked into throwing up a Z2Z club on Xbox, he think would be great for quick LFG posts. To which Weasel Pizza thankfully points out, yeah, that exists. We do have one.
Yep.
We
sure do.
So
we probably don't do as much in it as we should, but it's certainly there.
And how do you feel about the functionality of those groups?
I'm not sure it's for me, I guess. I've got other places where I do my kind of socializing, so I haven't really felt like adding the Xbox socializing thing to my kind of roster of places that I check for that stuff, so it hasn't really appealed.
I'm kind of the same way.
Whereas I find our Discord for LFG stuff is much better, and even just boosting sessions and TA feed, so true achievements, but I guess as well, I feel that. So I know that when Jo was doing some Titanfall stuff, I think she put up Titanfall entries on our LFG on the Xbox Club, and got a bunch of randoms who had nothing to do with Z2Z joining, even though we kind of locked it. So there was a few sort of issues around that, and also some people who just basically wanted to come in and troll a session and you couldn't really get rid of them. So there was a few issues there. So I guess for our purposes, not quite as good as it could be, but maybe we just I haven't delved into it enough to really know it that well. Yeah. I know the X1 Bros use it a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, it can work. Maybe it's just a matter of finding something that works for us.
Yeah, we tend to. So if you're curious, Cowboy Killer, we tend to do more on our Discord chat, discord.me/Z2Z. That is where we predominantly set up our gaming sessions with the listeners there, because we can talk about it. We can say, hey, what do you want to boost? How do you want to do this? What do you because we tend to do more along those lines of coordinating the type of achievement we're going through, or hey, okay, let's do an expert run to try and do this. And so it's a nicer way to kind of communicate. And then you can post it there and set up a plan before you move forward.
I think it's also because we're on there all the time anyway, and that's just our general socialization point. It's essentially a chat room for Z2Z listeners and staff and so forth. So I mean that's I think we do that just simply because it's there and we're in it all the time. Whereas if we're on the Xbox all the time doing that sort of thing, it might be another story.
Right.
I guess I don't find it as convenient to jump into the socialization features because it's not as readily, it's not as quickly accessible on my phone and away from the Xbox, so per se. So I guess
kind of in the same way.
Really
like if I'm not going to do it on my phone. I do a little bit, but really not much. And I don't have Windows 10 on my PC, so I don't have the Xbox app on my PC, and so. If I'm on my computer, I'll be at Discord or doing something like that. And then if I'm on the Xbox, I'm not going to waste time poking around the community stuff. It's like I'm getting gaming. If I'm holding a controller, I'm in a game. Like we got to get things moving because I got some achievements to earn. So, We got a question from Doughboy, and he says, "Hey, what do you guys think of GameStop building a Scorpio spec PC, and then ultimately they kind of look through and they're like, I don't think Xbox can actually run at 60 FPS, but most importantly, they do the pricing for this and all of the components that they put together. Grand total, $877 is what their components come to." Now, of course,
that's interesting. The link you've got there for that article, that actually goes to a 404 now.
I know.
Been taken down by the look of it.
I know. I had to go to the homepage and find it, but apparently there's a little mini game on that 404 page. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, you can like do a dungeon or something. Whatever. Now, okay, I look at this and it's like, okay, the operating system is Windows 10. Like, yes, that costs $100. I don't think Xbox has to pay Microsoft for using the operating system, the Windows 10 operating system. They probably can.
It kind of comes with it.
Yeah, they can probably take that $100 off, right? And then, I'm sure there's ordering. Obviously, these are just, if you were to take all the components off the shelves and build this thing yourself, like that's what it would cost out of pocket.
The thing is that they cannot build a Scorpio. No. It is not possible to buy off the shelf components and have a Scorpio equivalent, directly, because, and the main key difference here is that the Scorpio has a DirectX 12 dedicated chip. That's done in software normally. That's stuff that's done in software on the Xbox One. It's done in software on PC. DirectX 12 is essentially the what games talk to drive the graphics or drive anything to do with music and audio and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. It's kind of the gateway to all of the functions. That's on chip. That's on hardware, which means that the CPU in the Xbox in the Scorpio doesn't need to actually think about doing any of that stuff. It just hands it off to another chip. So that's something you cannot buy on any PC, and that's the biggest, probably the biggest breakthrough and the biggest point of difference for the Scorpio is that particular handing off of that particular function. That's huge, and I think that's a huge performance difference. And so to compare it and just buy the specs as they're written for the Scorpio and build a PC, I don't think it's even going to be close.
I totally agree.
Plus, they optimize that stuff specifically for the hardware they were all putting together. Whereas you buy off-the-shelf components, they've all got to be generic enough that they can work in any combination of these bits and pieces. So yeah, I don't really take much stock in this particular article.
Totally agree. The reason I buy a console is because I don't have to worry about, do my components work? Am I going to get the best, output for my device? Do I have to upgrade any of these individual pieces? I'm buying a plug and play box that is optimized for gaming. Like I don't need word processing. I don't need surfing the web. I don't need any of that crap. I want games. I have an Xbox to play games. I'm not watching movies. I'm not, yes, those are part of it, but that's not my focus. And so to have, like you said, the dedicated chip that is totally optimized for gaming, you can take out all that waste. Like,
I'm just looking at this article too. They're talking about, and we bought this special cooler because the one that comes with the graphics chip was like really loud, and it's like, yeah, but that's got nothing to do with performance. Like, if you're just building this PC for performance, who cares about the cooling system as long as it's able to keep it cool properly? So don't add that extra charge onto the cost of your gaming PC. Like, that's just ridiculous. Sorry, it's just looking at this going, what, really?
And their biggest thing, I mean, everything they're doing, they're looking at all these games as benchmarks and saying whether or not they can run at 60 FPS with 4K textures on. And it's like, again, you're dealing with more generic componentry than an optimized system for these types of games. Now, Microsoft has handed over the specs for the Scorpio to these developers and say, this is what you're working with. Now, it's important for you, maybe it's not important, but let's say, in a shooter or something, it's important that you hit 60 FPS with 4K textures. Now, go ahead and optimize it because these are the specs you can work with. And that's what they get to focus on. They don't have to throw this broad net out there and say, okay, was it going to cover, these 12 graphics cards? And can I do these and this and this? And I agree. I think this is garbage clickbait, and they got me. I'm on their page, and now I'm frustrated about it.
Yeah, and they're even talking about, okay, yeah, well, we tried Forza Horizon 3 on the PC, and we couldn't get it to 60 frames per second without cranking down some of the settings, and that's probably more to do with the drivers than it is to do with the system. So basically they're saying, yeah, actually the hardware probably can do it. We just haven't, it's not optimized. So, anyway.
Narge, let's move into some silliness. R56 Cooper S11 comes back with another last game you played question and says, hey, if you were in trouble and the hero was the main character from the last game you played, who would your hero be and how would they save you? Does Elite Dangerous even have a hero? Are you the hero?
No, you're the hero, really.
Save yourself, clown.
Yeah.
You're dead.
And I would fail. No, I guess the game before that was Narcosis, which doesn't really have a hero either. You're basically in a kind of losing your mind under the water environment, so no heroes there. Thimbleweed Park.
No, maybe
might have Ransom the Clown come and save me. I think that's they would save me by save me by insulting me a lot.
I was going to say string of profanities.
Yep.
So Destiny.
Why the bleep are you making me do this?
Destiny's mine, and so in theory you are the hero, but there are some characters in there that are altruistic and likely would come to my aid. Cade 6, likely not one of those people. He would probably just not give a crap and leave me to die.
Well, you just have to promise him some loot.
Yeah, but I could see Savala. The Titan guy, he might, I mean, he's honorable. He might come and get me. Amanda Holiday, maybe the shipwright, she might come and save me. Dinklebot, are you there? Can you come back? And I mean, you've already brought me back for life once. So no Landroid or Dinklebot. That's who's coming to save me.
I can tell you who won't come to save you, the Cryptarch.
He
will
doesn't
not,
give a crap. Especially after I punch him in the stomach. Rocker Dude 5012 has a question for us. He won a game code from TA on a game that is not yet released, but he was pretty happy because the achievements are popping like crazy, and so he's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to be one of the first to get the completion on TA, something that he's never been close to do, and it got him to think that he's running into buggy achievements and stuff, waiting for devs and whatnot. Have you ever been the first to do something on Xbox or gaming in general?
No.
Anything close?
I think the closest was I got the completion number 9 in Silvio, which I was pretty happy with.
That's funny. I got completion number 9 in Wipeout 2 that I was pretty excited about.
That's probably more impressive because Wipeout 2 was a pain in the
super huge pain in the butt.
So Silvio, I think that's been my highest one. I think others have been in the teens. But yeah, number 9 on Silvio, but not even close to first ever.
No, not even close. And to be honest, it's not important for me to be first because, to be honest, I want a good, smooth experience. And so I actually like to wait on games. I don't want to be spoiled, but I like to wait on games so they can get maybe a couple patches under their belt so they can iron out any of those nonsense bugs that are always annoying.
Just getting back to Arkham Asylum, though, when they did the remaster of Arkham Asylum on the One, I was sort of thinking, yeah, that's awesome. I'll get it day one. I'm in Australia. I'll get it before everyone else does because, I'm, in the future and stuff.
Yeah.
And I can get that, and I might actually be the first to complete that one. And it had already been completed, about 15 times before the game even came out. I think a bunch of review copies are just oh!
Yep.
So I was a bit disappointed about that.
Yep. I think that's also a thing that shoots you in the foot for even trying is knowing that there are people out there who have had weeks ahead of you.
Yeah, damn those people with their review codes. Wait, that's us.
They're the worst.
Yeah. What's next? Kung Fu Skills?
Yeah, why don't you take this one?
Sure. So Kung Fu Skills asks, is there some game marketing or something else that stands out as memorable still today? And he gives a couple of examples. The music and cinematics from these two stand out. Transformers Fall of Cybertron.
Yep.
And the Mad World Gears of War trailer. So do you have any in mind, Fream?
I do. I will admit, so I never saw the Gears of War trailer when it first aired, and so it doesn't have the impact, but seeing it now, like, and knowing the time frame when that was released, like, I get it, and I totally agree that that's such a memorable trailer. For me, it was Dead Island. I mean, I still think of that girl and, you know, the reverse coming up back into the hotel room, and just the way that was portrayed with the music overlay on that, and just the notion of that game. Now, granted, when the game released, it was not quite that awesome, but the trailer still resonates as one of the most awesome game trailers I've ever seen. So that's got the flag for me.
Yeah, I was struggling to think of any, so I'm going to have to lean on yours, Fream. That was an excellent trailer, and a really, particularly as we're both zombie fans, that was a real. It was a real emotional trailer as well. It really kind of stringed the heartstrings, and as you slowly kind of understood the story that was actually developing in reverse, it was done exceptionally well, and really made you kind of go, oh,
I agree.
That's no.
A recent example is actually the Destiny 2 trailer that was just released, the cinematic trailer with specifically the extended one where you've got Cade 6, the character who, you know, he's kind of the gunslinger maverick guy who's recanting a story in a bar. And as he's talking about, hey, we're fighting and this was happening, and there's levity to it, but it's also a serious, like, there's serious tones with levity. And I think that's really doing a great job of setting the tone for the game, because I look at Destiny 1 and they were just so serious about everything, and it was like, you know, you tried to be so intense and serious, and then when you just want to have fun and goof around, like it was against itself. And so this, I think is embracing it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think maybe what actually happened with Destiny there is that they actually tried to use Dinklebot as the sort of humorous foil there. Yeah. And it didn't quite work.
No.
Whereas, you know, Cade...
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion, he's got that naturally.
Yeah.
Not to say that Dinkle, what is his name?
Peter Dinklage?
That's the one. Not to say that Peter Dinklage can't be, because, you know, you see him on Game of Thrones and he's nails that particular style.
Oh, absolutely.
But I guess having it in your face all the time, particularly when you're repeating missions, probably gets a bit annoying.
Yeah, you know, just to elaborate on the rest of that trailer, and so as it pans out, you realize the story he's talking about is still happening. And you're like, oh my god, you know, okay, so now there's this excitement to it, and then the subsequent part of that trailer is kind of the dichotomy between Zavala, who I mentioned, is very serious, and he's, you know, we are fighting this war. It's the voice actor for Martin Hatch from Quantum Break, the one of the main guys at Monarch. He's got that very distinctive voice I think it's from The Wire too. And so he's very serious, and he's like, oh, we have to, you know, protect our world and do this. And he's pulling the human interest part, save humanity stuff. And Cade 6 like, yeah, there's like a bad guy, and he destroyed all my stuff, and I'm really upset about him destroying all my stuff. And his name is like, oh, God, Goo or Good. It just starts with a G or something like that, you know, and he's just, and then it cuts back and, you know, we need to protect our town and come back and fight against the cabal, and, you know, and then all of a sudden, and there's going to be loot, you know, and it's like, and it's, you know, again, it's that dichotomy of like, if you want to be serious and you want to, you know, you've got that. If you want to have fun and just goof around and shoot dudes, you got that too. And I think that's setting a really nice tone for what Destiny 2 can be when looking at Destiny 1. And so I'm going to add that to my list as well. So Dead Rising and Destiny 2.
Dead Rising, you mean
Dead Island. That's right. Yeah. Dead Island. Dead Rising was not particularly memorable. Chin Doctor. We're heading to Australia. He said, hey, we might have asked this before, but is there any game you wish you could experience for the first time again? Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite game. For him, it would be Ori and the Blind Forest. The great visuals and soundtrack are just enough heartstring-tugging action. Would love to forget and experience it all one more time. What about you, Tarragon? Anything that you'd like to relive? Any of those emotional beats that were just, man, yeah, that would be so much fun to experience for the first time again?
Batman Arkham Asylum.
Play that again. I can see it.
Yep. Yeah, definitely that. I was trying to think back on earlier games. Like, I kind of think if I could re-experience Final Fantasy VIII or Final Fantasy X again for the first time.
Yeah.
So it's just some of the plot twists in those two games were just like, what?
Yeah.
What? No, what? We're 3/4 of the way through the game and you reveal that? That makes no sense. What? Final Fantasy VIII was notorious for that. There was just one point you get through and it's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Everybody? What? How? No.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, it's an old game, so I don't really want to spoil it. But there's kind of like this point where there's things revealed, and it's like all these divergent characters that you've been sort of playing in different parts of it, and it's like you learn that like they all knew each other like already, and it's like, and you go, but how? What?
Yeah.
Like, no. Yeah. Anyway, I won't go into that too much more. But yeah, I probably that game 8 and 10, I think, had those kind of moments in it that you kind of have to experience once and just go, wow.
Yeah. That's funny.
It kind of goes back to that. Back to that spoiler comment that we had, where it says that you get that first experience of having a twist revealed to you, which you can never have again. It's kind of like it'd be nice just to be able to wipe your memory and have that moment.
Get that Men in Black neuralizer thing just so you forget, and then you can redo it. You know, it's funny because when you said Final Fantasy, I was thinking, what was my first Final Fantasy experience? And it was Final Fantasy 2, which was 3. Anyway, and the one with the moon, I think, where you went to with Cecil and, anyway. Tella, and I remember that one of the twists in there where that the dude, you find out like your best friend turns on you, and then you're the character you've been running with the whole time dies, and you got to play as this guy, and then eventually he comes, and it's like I remember playing that as a 10 or 12-year-old and just thinking, what is happening? This is blowing my mind. But I think probably the most prevalent example I can think of right now is Life is Strange. And I would love to experience that. Like, having experienced it for the first time was awesome. I would love to have that same experience and share it with my wife. Like, I would like to go through that game together for the first time. And because there were so many things I wanted to talk about from that game, and I'd love to have those experiences with somebody else to have a conversation about. And of course, now I would know, and so if I played it again and she was watching it, it's just not quite the same. So it'd be cool to experience that together again for the first time.
Yeah, I agree, actually. That's a good one. And same probably would be for Firewatch as a more recent example. It's the kind of thing it'd be the first time you experience that, particularly if you kind of get involved and invested in the story.
Yeah.
Going through it the second time just doesn't have the same impact. But the first time through, it's really, what the hell is why? What? Right. And just those moments unrepeatable. I guess another one for me would be Red Dead Redemption. Some of the moments in that game were outstanding. There were a few parts where it just kind of dragged a bit, particularly down in Mexico, but it would be great just to experience all of that again because I fell in love with that game the more I played it. I thought of another one, but I
mentioned Braid before in a previous show, how I loved the ending of that one.
Yeah.
I could play that again and experience that ending.
It's been so long since I've played that. I should play that again because I've actually kind of forgotten a lot of what happens at the end of that.
I would love to talk to you about it. Oh, and Inside. I thoroughly enjoyed that. The WTF moment in that. I would love to experience that for the first time again. That's awesome. All right, let's move on. We got
Planting us.
Yeah, planting.
Planting 42, the person who runs the Great True Achievement Score Challenge, writes in and says, what is your most prized gaming-related item? Now, for me, this is going to be a pretty obvious one, and we're going to go back to Batman again. But I've got the special editions of Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, and also Batman Arkham Knight. So I've got all three of the special editions, which have the big statues of. So I've got sort of three variants of Batman going through. Actually, the first one came with a Batarang. You had like a mounted Batarang that came with Arkham Asylum, and then Arkham City had a statue of Batman sort of leaning down, and the the third one has it's like a little cityscape with a Batman statue on it, and it's kind of an in memoriam kind of thing. But it actually has a light built into it, so you can press it on, turn the light, and the lights shine up through the cityscape onto Batman. And it's a really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I do not have any gaming tchotchkes. I don't, despite being a collector, I don't have gaming paraphernalia because I think when I got into gaming, it was for my wedding, and it's the wife's house. I don't have a room for gaming stuff. Like, I'm in this dreadful basement here. Like, I can't, so I don't have anywhere to put anything.
Yeah, I guess the question is a bit more open-ended there, actually. Yeah. It's gaming-related items.
So I do actually have two things then that could qualify. One is my well, I guess I have two. So I have my Destiny t-shirt for my Moments of Triumph that has my gamer tag on it. That's kind of cool. I like that. I also have a State of Decay t-shirt, which I love. I think it's the kind of looks like a skull and crossbones. It's that eagle that's holding the axe and the shotgun, but it's silhouette. It's kind of one of those like dual pictures where like the primary picture is the eagle holding those items, but then if you look in the background, the void spaces are a skull. It's cool.
Okay.
It's a cool t-shirt.
Nice.
And I got that for free because I follow them on the site, and they said, oh, we had some issues with fulfilling our whatever they had done a campaign. So send me your t-shirt size, and we'll reimburse you on that. And so I was like, oh, well, I didn't do whatever the campaign is, but I wear a medium t-shirt. And freaking, like, 2 weeks later, I get a t-shirt in the mail. I'm like, oh, my God, this is awesome. I didn't expect that to happen. And then the third, and probably the one that I like the most is so I have an ottoman upstairs, one of those storage ottomans. And it's big. It's a doozy. And I really like when my son has friends or stuff over, I like to open that and show kids how many games are in there, because I don't think they understand how big of a collection I have, because it's not predominantly visible. I kind of hide things, and if they only knew what the digital collection looks like. But when I have friends or my son's friends over and I can say, yeah, I like to game, and I open that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God.
You really like the game.
And it's not even that significant. I mean, there's probably like 100 titles in there, right? It's not even like obscene, but and what, that's 25% of my library. But those,
it reminds me a bit of my shelves. I was just pointing it out to my brother-in-law, and it's like, yep, there are all my games. And it's like there's like three shelves full of just games, but I'm not talking in the cases. They've been pulled out of the cases and put into little narrow sleeves, so they take up less space. And these are shelves just full end to end with games. And it's just like, that's a lot of games. Yeah. And that's not even all of them. There's a pile over there on the ground, and there's another pile in that thing over there, and that's not including the 200 or 300 odd of digital. It's like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. That's a great question.
So a comment from Montana97. He said, "Yay!"
What spawned that? I think you just said, "Hey, I'm recording a show in 6 hours, 24 hours, or whatever." Yeah,
I think. And I said, "I'll be on it," because he actually made a comment in party to me that he listened to last episode, and he was a bit disappointed that I wasn't on that. So I think that's what that's about. So thanks, Montana. I appreciate that. So, yay!
Aussie love.
So lastly, McLovin Legend asks again, a while ago you guys talked about movies based on games being terrible, which they generally are.
Yeah.
But what are the best and worst games based on movies?
Oh, yeah. So, I read that wrong. So games based on movies. Okay.
So I don't know. It's not based on a movie per se. I don't think they've done a movie of NCIS, but I always, whenever anybody asks for the worst game that I've played in general, and the one that was the most tedious to work through, NCIS. So it's based on a TV series though, so I don't know if it counts, but that was really.
I've been playing that X-Men the official game, I think is the main title. That is not good. I do not care for that. I don't play a lot of licensed games though. Like
the There's not that many coming out, like based on movies these days. It's been a bit sparse. I mean, yeah, they're generally pretty bad. But,
right.
But I guess the highlights. I tried to think back earlier than sort of this generation, but I couldn't think of any off the top of my head. But Alien Isolation is probably one of the top ones that I've played in recent memory, that's based off a movie. And that sort of essentially is the story fits right in between Alien and Aliens in the canon of that universe, and it just really captured the feeling of the first movie down to a T. So if you happen to like that kind of survival horror, always on the edge of your seat, not knowing when things are going to come and jump out of vents to kill you, that's it. Really captured that well, and I think that's probably one of the best ones. And I'd probably also give a nod to the new Mad Max game that came out just after Fury Road, because that's it's gotten a lot of really good from people who've played through the game. Everybody who's sort of played it and gotten into it have really loved it. Yeah, and it really seems to capture the Mad Max world really well. So
yeah, I wish I had time to play that game, because I bet it would be. Of course, I haven't. One of the this I went to video games again, but because that Dead Rising movie they made. Now that's the other way, right? That's a movie based on a video game, but I really like that. That was
Watchtower.
Watchtower. I didn't watch Endgame yet. I should really get around to doing that. But
yeah, so should I actually. Maybe we can stream it. Do a critical overview of it while we're watching.
Yeah, right. There you go. we can do like.
Mystery Science Theater or whatever it is.
MST3K on it.
Yeah.
God, I couldn't even think of what it was. Yeah, man. I'm just looking at my games list right now, and there just really is nothing. Back if I was an achievement hunter more predominantly in the early 360 days, I'm sure I'd have tons of these games. Because I look at like the Viral Games Club over at the Achievement Hounds, and it's like there's so many of these games floating around that are, King Kong the movie, the game, or so. It's like I never played those.
Yeah, because the King Kong game it wasn't for at the time it wasn't outstanding, but it wasn't awful.
Yeah.
These days, it's not great, but I certainly wouldn't consider it the worst. I think of things like Rango and Up, and even the SpongeBob SquarePants game. They're just like middle of the road. They're not really bad. They're not really good. If you're going for the achievements, they can get a bit tedious, but I wouldn't consider them sort of awful games. They're not quite ET level. I'm kind of struggling to think of others. But
so there we go.
Good question though.
Yeah, it was a good question. Now with that collection of questions, question of the week, we gotta come up with something. Off the top of my head, I'm kind of thinking I don't know. I got like three I like. Saucy's question about speedrunning games. That was cool. Yeah, I like Kung Fu skills with the marketing material, like the trailers and stuff. Mm-hmm, that was a good one. Or I also like Chin Doctor with the experience something for the first time.
That was a good one.
I think I'm leaning that one.
I'm leaning towards Montana 97 with Yay.
Yay!
I thought that was a really upbeat,
particularly poignant.
So I always like a bit of positivity there. It's it adds to the show. I think
it's directly to you. It's patting your own back.
Oh no, it's got nothing to do with that.
Nothing with that.
No. I also actually liked McLovin's question about best and worst games based on movies. That was a good one. Interesting. It actually took me. I had to go and do a bit of research on that one before answering. So
right. All right. But the winner.
Yep. But
the winner is who?
I think I agree with you. I think Chin Doctor gets the Guernsey.
Way to go, Chin Doctor!
Guernsey, whatever.
Yay! He's gonna win in a random to-do list too. That Dude's a machine.
Well, I think NBA Kirkland's actually giving him a bit of a run for his money.
Big L's put. He's pretty consistent. He's up there. Buffalo of Lies is consistent.
Yeah, and we've got some contenders there. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I should probably do a recap of. I don't think I've awarded prizes for April yet. That sounds like something I need to do at the end of the show. Listen to the outro for all that good stuff. Yep. Let's finish this show with a little bit of a recap of what we've been doing. I'll make mine quick because, to be honest, I haven't played that much. My time, now that sports have started for my kids, is dreadfully dwindled the amount of time I can play, and I'm locked into some long-term boosts. So, of course, I'm doing my Titanfall nights, Diablo nights, and actually we've doubled up on Titanfall. So I'm actually doing Frontier Defense on Mondays and General Boosting on Thursdays. Now, on Monday, we actually had a really good session. I think we got double stars on 3 new maps, so I'm up to 9 of 15 on that one and getting a lot of XP there. So that's a nice little go at it. And I've also been working on Boggle. I need to get to Diamond League for the random to-do list, so I'll play a few matches there. I think I'm probably like 4 or 5 games still out on that one. Age of Empires have been cruising on daily, trying to do my winning crowns. I've mentioned before, I am absolutely staying at 4, so I'm at 200. I'm at 10% of the way to that achievement. It is long and arduous and awful. And then finally, Destiny. I have until Tuesday. I'm going to finish this game this weekend. Destiny, the Cryptarch is selling the last emblem I need, the last achievement. I just need to kill a bunch of dudes in the Plaguelands, and I will have that game completed. And so I'm working on that as well. Oh, and then Halo 4, of course, that I'm better than Prue at. So that's what I've been up to this week.
Not that you want to remind me.
Yeah. I'm better.
You're better. Yeah.
It was fine. I remember when you were playing that game, and he's like, "Oh, Freem, you got a good score there." I'm like, "Dude, MLG, man." I'm like, now I'm just goofing around, but I was better than him. Anyway, what were you up to?
Well, I've been off the show for a few weeks, so I won't go back on everything that I've been playing. But the notable ones would be Injustice. I actually picked up Injustice: Gods Among Us, the original on the 360. Just as I've mentioned a few times now, I picked up the comics just on a whim, and they were awesome. Everybody should read those if you have any interest in comics whatsoever, and particularly even if you don't like the DC universe generally, the Injustice series is actually just a really good. It's a different take on that universe, which is really interesting. The game. I started playing the game, and I got a bit of a way through that, just playing the story mode. So that was kind of interesting. Thimbleweed Park. I won't mention too much about that because there's a review due for that this week. In fact, it'll probably have come out before this episode airs. So yeah, you'll hear about that on the review. Video Ball. This is a great game if you want to get a lot of TA with not too much effort. It's a fairly cheap game, and most of the achievements are based around just getting a certain number of types of score or goals. And I've actually, for people who have a Cronus or a Titan 1, the little sort of plug-in USB macro device for automating controllers and stuff like that, I actually wrote a script to automate a good chunk of the achievements on that. So if you want that, you can just ping me about it, or have a look on the dedicated leaderboard on True Achievements for Cronus Max and Titan 1 owners. Minecraft, as we mentioned earlier, the PSA about Minecraft Xbox One, I've just been going through and getting a bunch on that. So they've released, the latest update released a bunch of achievements based around a kind of a tumble mode. There's a new game type they've got. Those achievements are ridiculously easy and quick to get. There's I think it took me, with a second controller, it took me all of 20 minutes to get all of those achievements.
Wow.
And particularly on the Xbox, there's 5, I think, related to that mode. And they've all got really high TA, particularly the Xbox 360 version. I think there's something like 1500 TA or something like that you can get within about 20 minutes just by playing this tumble mode. If you're after a quick boost, go back to your 360 and boot that up, I reckon. Elite Dangerous, of course. Got a good chunk of points out of the passenger missions and out of CQC in the last week or so. So I've been putting on a fair few points in that game, surprisingly, even though it's a huge, ridiculous grind of a game. But I've been able to get a few things out of that. And another one that I'm looking at reviewing is Narcosis. It's a game that just came out. It's a survival horror based game. Essentially, you are underwater, deep underwater. You work on a pipeline, and there is a catastrophe that happens, and you end up being essentially trapped by yourself down in the water with no kind of habitat or anything, and you've got to try and find a way to survive. And also because you're essentially alone under the water, you start having mental things going on, and you get these weird kind of lapses of it's weird, and a little bit creepy. Which means it's right up my alley. It's apparently a pretty quick completion though if you just want to churn through it quickly and get the points. But I quite like that kind of style of game. So that'll be up in a review in a few weeks, I imagine.
Cool.
And that's pretty much all I want to chat about. I've got a bunch of other things. I played Turn On. It's probably the most notable because the week before last, the individual bonus was for getting 100 achievements. And as I've been running out of bonuses on the individual side, I decided to go for this one. And Turn On has a heap of achievements. So from having not played it at all through to having almost completed it, I've got 79 achievements out of just that one game, which easily got me over the line with everything else I was doing that week. So
nice.
If you need a lot of achievements and you're not worried about the points, then Turn On's the one to go for. Anyway, that's about it for me.
Cool. Well, we have a slew of Knobs and Discos, our home for unattainable and discontinued achievements. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, there's been. I think the GI team have been fairly hard at work catching up with a lot of these. So Frizzy. This is a really, really awful game. It's the game itself probably wouldn't be too bad if the controls weren't so bad, but the controls are really bad. So yeah, I would steer clear of this game anyway. But it has an unattainable Master Collector. There is an achievement for going and collecting, there's all these little gems I think you've got to collect, and there's a limited number of them in the game. The Master Collector achievement requires you to actually get more than are actually available in the game at all. This is a known bug on the Steam version as well. The achievement's just not possible for whatever reason. The developer knows about it, hasn't fixed it. It's been a while now. Probably not going to get fixed. So that's a bit disappointing. Cities Skylines, which is that sort of new SimCity kind of game that came out, has some knobs, 4 of them. 1001 Nights, Leisure Suites, Playing with the Boys, and Prison Break are all not obtainable at this time, although I would expect, given how new that game is, that it will be patched.
Nice.
There is a knob in the Ultimate Word Games, Microsoft Ultimate Word Games. The gold rating is not tracking at the moment. Now, we had a similar issue with the Solitaire collection, the UWP, where golds, or actually most of the medals, just weren't ticking over. So they fixed that on that version. So I would very much expect that they will fix that in Ultimate Word Games. But if you are working towards a gold medal at the moment, hold off because it may not track. Overwatch, there was a timed event, Uprising. That event has now finished, which means that all the achievements tied to that event have stopped. They're basically discontinued for now until the next version of that Uprising event, which may happen in another year. Who knows? These are probably my least favorite achievements, the ones that are based on an event that may or may not occur again. I think we mentioned this on our show with Smirnov the other week. That's pretty annoying. But they're done. That was sort of expected anyway. A point-and-click game called Yesterday Origins had an achievement in it which was unobtainable. That has now been fixed. Human Calculator can now be unlocked. So if you've been holding off on that game, you can now do that. Probably worth looking at because point-and-clicks are usually good points or quick points. And the last one is Lethal League, which I think it's just came out. Has got an unobtainable for called First Division, which is just for playing 100 matches. That achievement doesn't unlock when it should, or doesn't unlock at all. Maybe steer clear of that one for now. And that's about it.
Hey, that Overwatch thing. Now we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Overwatch. There's a lot of talk of a collector's edition or some sort of ultimate edition or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But obviously, since it hasn't been out for a full year, we don't know the recurrence of events and whether those achievements will come back online. But there's
I have been hearing rumors as well of an event based around their birthday, essentially, which of course again may have achievements tied to it as well, which
so right now hopefully these things are cyclical and at some point they will become obtainable again. It's just a timing thing, but let's just say next time it comes around, if it does, you're going to want us to get on top of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I just on a side note, was poking around on the Discord chat, and do you have a dog at all? You don't have any pets, do you?
No, I don't. I used to have a cat.
Did you? Okay. So there's a mental floss article, and I'm pretty sure it was Saucy who posted it. This seems like a Saucy Slingo type thing to do, but yep, totally him. Why do your pet's feet smell like corn chips? And it's like, I will smell my dog's feet too, because they smell like Fritos. I'm not gonna lie to you, like it's delicious. Of course, that's from the collection of bacteria that's on there, with the pockets of moist pockets in between the fingers that can just harbor these bacteria. But
I'm struggling to see a world where anybody would actually want to smell their pet's feet. Like, why are you doing this,
dude? Because you're hugging your pet, you're like snuggling up with them, and then if you get anywhere,
I'm not sticking their paw in my nose.
Anywhere, anytime. You don't have a choice, especially if your animal sleeps in bed with you. Like my dog is a huge bed hog, and he will just stick his feet out wherever he wants, and of course that means paw to the face, but. No, I mean, I'll smell it every now and again, or like if I'm looking at it, because, you don't want anything to get stuck in there or cause irritation or anything, so you're kind of looking at them, but yeah, it's such a noticeable smell. It smells like corn chips. It smells like Fritos. Anyway, yeah, they talk about it, well, it's normal, it's the bacteria. It's the same reason our BO smells. It's just the collection of bacteria that has their own, anyway.
It's totally BO, it's bacteria poop, basically.
Yeah. Bingo. Just it's for dogs. That's about it for the show. Of course, I have some things to wrap up at the end of the show, but what do you got going on for the rest of this upcoming week here, Tarragon? What's on your plate?
Well, I've got to record the review for Thimbleweed Park. I'll be doing that tonight, I think, my time, with Joe, and Elite. I've got another session of Elite Dangerous with my usual Australian buddies. Besides that, we're probably playing through Narcosis as well, just for the review later on. And I'm not too sure what else I'll be doing. Probably dabbling a bit with Beam. We've actually just set up a Beam team, so we're all actually now a member of the Z2Z Beam team. So hopefully we'll be able to get some streaming action going there. I know Joe's been doing some stuff there as well. So
I'm gonna have to start streaming Boggle. You guys are look for it. If you see me online playing some Boggle, that's on my list this week. I'm going to try and get that taken care of. Of course, I have my normal Diablo and Titanfall sessions. And then we're going to do some Halo 4. So take a look at the Discord, LFGs, discord.me/ZZ if you're interested. Halo 4 for me, doing some multiplayer, just we'll find some time. It'll likely be middle of next week when this show airs. Maybe another Wednesday nighter. So if you listen to it the day of release, take a look on the forums to find out if I'm online. And then the other thing is I mentioned this weekend I'm doing some Destiny, so that will have passed, and you'll get to hear about my completion, because I'm totally going to do it, on the next show. It'll be wonderful. And then aside from that, I don't have enough time for games. So sad. Although I will be doing the review for We Are the Dwarves. So I got to put some time into that. And you will hear that on a Review Z in the future. So
awesome.
There we have it, Tarragon. Anywhere people can reach you, like you had already mentioned our Beam, they should go and check us out there.
Yep. So beam.pro/ZZ Urban Spaceman or beam.pro/Z2Z, I think. I think that's how those URLs work. If not, just search for Z2Z or ZZ Urban Spaceman or Freamhole or Prue or any one of us. We're all there. Angel SK, etc. Spazball. To contact me directly, you can either tweet at me at ZZ Urban Spaceman, or you can contact me on the Discord, discord.me/Z2Z. Or also on True Achievements as ZZ Urban Spaceman. So any one of those will get to me one way or another, or even on our forums as well. I haven't been visiting that as often as I should, but I'm always responding to any requests for rerolls and things like that from the great random to-do list. Incidentally, Planting is now been enabled to do some rerolls, so that will take a little bit of pressure off me there too. So if you see responses from him, yes, that's official. He is allowed to do that.
I saw that today, and I was like, oh, I didn't know he has access to do that now. Great. I love that. Yes, you can reach me. Twitter's probably the best, at Freamhole, FREAMWHOLE. I am Freamhole everywhere. TA, Xbox. It's my username for pretty much every social outlet, so I am easy to find. There's not that many Freems out there, it turns out. And so Fream in his entirety is who you want to look for, Freamhole. Other than that, you should stick around for the tail end of the show. I got some zombie news coming up, and after we all say goodbye, you should listen to who won the prizes this month, or last month, I guess, and all the wonderful contests that we have lined up at our forums, forum.z2z.com. So,
just before we go on, what actually is the root of your name? Like, where does Freamhole come from? Like,
it was when I was in high school. I had a friend of mine, and this was the pinnacle of Beavis and Butthead. And so
I remember that story. Yeah. I'm just wondering about the root of your actual sort of your surname, like you.
Fream.
Like, yeah, what is that from? Is it like
it is Germanic? And although I don't know the strict etymology of it, I do know that the word fream is a verb, and it does mean to roar with reproductive desire. Not sure that's where they came from, to be honest. But I do know it's Germanic. But my dad's parents passed away pretty young, and so I had no opportunities to ask them about their heritage, and it would take a little more Ancestry.com digging to find out where the hell that name comes from.
But yeah, I like that. So it's a lusty roar. I can get behind that.
Yep. So that's an Urban Dictionary thing, I'm sure. I don't know if that's in Webster's. So the old Oxford English Dictionary. I'm not quite sure, but who knows? All right. So, Tarragon, why don't you get out of here? And because you don't want to hear my zombie news.
Yeah.
But listeners do.
Bye.
All right, we got some zombie news here for everyone. All our favorite zombie title, Black Ops. This is Black Ops 3. They are releasing, Activision is, Black Ops 3 Zombie Chronicles. This is a collection of 8 classic Treyarch zombie maps that's coming first to PlayStation 4. It's going to cost $30, and you're going to get, some random crap that's, in the normal games from like World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2. Those are the Treyarch versions of the games. And then it's only digital. So you get a couple like in-game add-ons and stuff, pack-a-punch things and whatnot. Now, they have not announced if this is coming to Xbox One or PC, but keep in mind that downloadable content is exclusive for Call of Duty to PlayStation. I know we love that. It's great, right? For at least a month. So, potentially you're looking June 16th for the Xbox One release. If things hold serve, maybe they'll test the road with, I don't know how popular it is. Come on, it's just a digital title. There's nothing here. Anyway, so if you love your Black Ops zombie modes, here's your chance to get just the zombies as a $30 add-on, which, to be honest, actually probably isn't that bad of a deal when you think of paying $15 for a few like multiplayer maps that happens to have one zombie mode with it. So, you kind of add those up, you get 8 zombie modes. Now, granted, you've already played them if you were a big Black Ops fan, or Treyarch fan for that matter. I never really got into the zombies mode. So, if you guys can convince me that it's worth my time, then, maybe we can get a 4-man team going and do some, is Jeff Goldblum in one of those? And I got all sorts of actor cameos that are fun for all. Anyway, that is our zombie news for the week. I think that's about it, guys. It's about time to wrap this thing up. I want to thank everybody for listening, of course. If you listen and you could help us out, it would be so wonderful if you could leave us a review or rate us on iTunes, wherever. Spread the word. Let other people know about it. It is such a huge help. You can find our website, z2z.com. There will be show notes, credits, links to things that we've talked about during the show. And there are so many ways to reach us. But Twitter is the best, at Z2ZZED, or... I'm sorry, I didn't even finish the Twitter handle. At Z2ZZEDTOZED. You've heard it so many times. You guys know. It's ingrained in your skull. But you can also email us, contact@z2z.com. So on behalf of, Tarragon and myself... and to all you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode. Hey guys, it's the Community Roundup time. We are halfway through the month of May as of recording, so you are knee-deep, neck, shoulders, I don't know how deep you are, into your random to-do lists and all the other contests going on site. Of course, the random to-do lists happen each and every month, so if you got booted out of any of the months, feel free to sign up. I just saw a brand new sign-up on the forums today even. So at any point, come and get your list, curate your list through the My Games collection at trueachievements.com. That makes our life easier, and you can take out games that you either don't have access to, or maybe your Kinect's not plugged in, you don't want to play Kinect anymore. Curate your list, make your life easier, or you can do, I think, what Prue does and just go nuts and hope for the best. After stealing a bunch of Tarragon's games, I absolutely needed to curate my list. It is May, which is Telltale month, and we are doing the Telltale story-based games, the point and clicks. So none of the action ones, none of the publishing ones like Poker Night or 7 Days to Die. And I know Life is Strange is a Telltale episodic story game, but it is not Telltale. It is a Don't Nod game. So even though they did it better, it doesn't count for this contest. So only Telltale games. We do have our Gamer Tag Challenge, which is Mitreal B. That is Tim Blair spelled backwards. So a nice, easy 8-letter tag, although there are 2 I's in there. So that could be tricky to come by. Good luck on finding your eyes. And the MOCAS for the month of May is the Forces of May, and it focuses on the Star Wars crawls. Check out the forums for a link to a list, an Excel spreadsheet of all of the individual words found in all 7 episodes of the Star Wars movies. And you can simply do a little word search, sort them by, alphabetize them, and find out where they go. I'm making some decent progress on there. Not earning as many achievements as I want this month, but, slow and steady, guys. Slow and steady. Of course, the GTASC, the Great True Achievement Score Challenge, is underway. We are just finishing up with period 18. There are 83 teams left in the competition, and... nobody was eliminated. Now, Lord Chibello, his team, had to use 2,000 points of bonuses just to survive, and they were the very last team not to be cut. So congratulations on surviving by the skin of your teeth. As far as the individuals go, well, not such good news. We had 2 eliminations of people that are either friends of the community or you've known. We have Mattism, is a huge friend of the community, one of my Diablo friends. He was eliminated in period 18. And Moronic Cow, ex-host of the Achievement Hounds podcast. He was a guest on our show. Well, he was also eliminated in period 18. Near misses, the closest one to the bottom of the line Well, it was Mr. Big L, of course. He survived by 100 TA points and simply only 12 spots between him and elimination. Congrats on surviving another week, L. We are down to 264 individuals. Of course, I want to recommend you all head to our Discord channel to chat with us. It's discord.me/Z2Z. That is a permanent link. You can always get there. You're always invited. We have tons of gaming conversations, but we also have boosting groups and trying to find ways and coordinate. I know as of this minute, Beer Me is trying to put together a Zombie Army Trilogy group, and it sounds like What the Fug and me and Koosh Moose might be interested, although there is a 3-man Australian party that's also out there. That's just one of the many groups that's out there. We have a new chat for Halo. There's a Borderlands group that just started to unearth. Overwatch is in there. Left 4 Dead. There's a crew actively working on Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. I've got my crew working on Diablo. That's not to stop anybody else. You can do Diablo on the 360, and of course then we have to move to the 1. There are, everything. Now, there's that Destiny group. I got some news for next show. I don't know how long that group's going to last, so you convince me it's worth keeping. Anyway, if you don't find a game or a group that you are looking for, we do have generic, so the LFG in general for kind of one-offs or anything you're, just a quick, let's just see what's out there if there's any interest. And we do have geographically based LFG groups, US, Australia, Europe, so you're sure to find somebody there. And if you think we're just absolutely missing a game that needs to be there, let us know and we can add it. If it makes sense, you better believe we'll put one into the chat. So, with that being said, that is our community roundup for the episode 74 of this show. Good luck on your quest to finish the contest for this month. I know it's busy. I know there's a lot going on, but keep at it, and it's a lot of fun. And we got prizes for you for anyone who participates. So with that, have a great rest of the month, and I will catch you next week. See you guys.